he also. Are you the parent that works for the DPW?
Yes, sir. Ty. Yeah, nice to meet you. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having us.
Oh, we're glad to have you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah, there's been there.
Boy, that's.
Oh, it sure is. Yeah, it's beautiful country. I thought it was.
Right. You're not gonna say that. Right. You know, it's unreal. Yeah, it's just. We got a new.
No.
Something up your shoe. Smell that. That's no. All the kids.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Barkley. Here. Bates.
Here.
Kimbrough. Here. Patterson. Here. Westerholz.
Here. Okay, if everyone could please stand and join us. Mr. Bill Brown, would you be willing to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment. We, the people of Colorado, with profound reverence for the supreme ruler of the universe, in order to form a more independent and perfect government, establish justice, ensure tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the state of Colorado. If we could just take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. You can have a seat. Okay, first item, approval of agenda. Have I got a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Barkley. Bates.
Aye.
Kimbrough. Aye. Patterson.
Aye.
Westerholz.
Aye. Motion approved. Okay, we've got a fun thing here. We have some exciting news to share. The parents of one of our 5th grade students, Ty, would you mind just standing up and waving at everyone? This is Ty. He is the parent of one of our 5th grade students who works for Colorado Parks and Wildlife, was tasked with capturing 20 bighorn sheep near Colorado Springs. He invited the Summit Elementary 5th graders and their teachers to join him in Colorado Springs this past Friday, January 24th, to participate in this amazing opportunity. The students started the day with a lesson and presentation at the Colorado State Parks and Wildlife Office. They spent the remainder of the day assisting CPW with sheep baiting to relocate sheep. Relocating the sheep was ultimately help preserve the herd. The students had a blast and learned a lot during their field experience. That's wonderful, Ty. If you'd just invite me the next time, I would so. Well, that was very creative of you, and we want to give you thanks for doing that. That was a pretty special event for those kids to partake in. I can guarantee you they'll never forget that. So thank you all, and thank you for coming tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just, I remember when Principal Rexford was talking about the outdoors programs a couple years ago, and I thought, my goodness, what a wonderful opportunity. And it's nice to see how you guys are doing that. That's just a fabulous program you guys have going.
That was wonderful. Yes, thank you. Okay, next item, public comment. Please be aware that any personnel or individual student matters are considered confidential under Colorado law, and it is out of respect of the law and our employees and students that we require those discussions take place privately in executive session. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes or a total of 15 minutes total for a particular topic. The intent of public comment is to give the Board of Education the opportunity to hear your comments. However, the board will make no decisions or take no action on public comments during this meeting. Thank you. Candace, we got some public comments.
Thank you. Josh Smith.
Members of the board, faculty, parents, and other students here. Today I stand before you to voice my dissent against the proposed resolution to declare only 2 genders within our school system. This resolution not only scientifically inaccurate, but also deeply harmful to the LGBTQIA+ students entrusted in your care. So the notion that gender is a binary concept is outdated and refuted by both scientific and sociological understanding. Gender identity is a complex interplay of biological, psychological, and social factors and exists on a spectrum. So this diversity is not a new phenomenon. It's always been acknowledged across cultures throughout history. So the Trevor Project's 2023 National Survey on LGBTQIA youth mental health found that 45% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered attempting suicide in the past year. This number rises significantly for transgender and non-binary youth. So in schools and communities invalidate their identities, these young people experience increased rates of depression, anxiety, and self-harm. Moreover, the 2022 GLSEN School Climate Survey revealed that LGBTQ students in schools with unsupportive environments experience higher rates of bullying, harassment, and discrimination. Not only does this impact their mental health, but also their academic performance and overall well-being. This resolution sends a clear message to LGBTQIA+ students that you are not welcome, you are not valid, and you do not belong. This message can have devastating consequences. I urge you to reconsider your harmful resolution. Instead, let us focus on creating a school environment that is inclusive, affirming, and safe for all students, regardless of their gender identity. Let us prioritize the well-being of our students over this outdated ideology.
Thank you.
Yep.
Rachel Norvell.
Can you hear me? All right, my name is Rachel Norville, and I'm here tonight as a concerned parent.
Is the microphone on?
Can you hear me?
I don't even think, it doesn't sound like it's on. I can't hear.
Restart.
I'm off to a great start.
Sounds like it's on.
Yeah, tap it.
Yeah.
It's on.
It's just not up very loud.
Hello?
Can we turn that up a little maybe?
Just have to speak loud.
Switch mics.
Josh did that.
Yeah.
I can give my mic.
Yeah.
If that helps, because I'm not sure where we can turn it up on.
Okay.
And then just turn that one off so we can get feedback.
Maybe outside the speaker problem, we'll see.
Unplug this one.
All right,
There you go.
okay,
Thank you.
we're trying again. All right, my name is Rachel Norvell. Living in accepting communities attempt suicide at half the rate compared to those living in unaccepting communities. That's half the rate. We have an opportunity to really affect change there. You are knowingly building an unsafe community for this very small, vulnerable group of kids. But we have seen exactly what kind of message you want to send. Your beliefs and ideas are more important than real children. This is bullying and this is wrong. So to the LGBTQ plus youth and community members who may be struggling and are listening, maybe online, there are people in this community who still support you just as you are. Our next Celebrating Diversity meeting will be Wednesday at the library, February 19th at 3:45 to 6. All are welcome. Second, I would like to speak about your claim that you did not have enough applicants to choose members for DAC and SAG. I applied. I am a parent. I volunteer in the schools, and I was a teacher for 13 years. So on paper, I should have been an easy choice, and I know many other fine people who applied as well. We can put two and two together why I was not selected, based off of what I just spoke on. That gay and trans kids do exist and shouldn't be bullied by adults in their community. But I think you are hell-bent at driving out any voices of dissent, and it is working, so good job. Look at our declining enrollment numbers and the massive, massive teaching talent that has already fled the sinking ship you created. Last, I would like to speak to you regarding a safety concern for the sixth graders and the trailers at Columbine Elementary. They still don't have PAs that are working. I thought this was fixed. when the Wi-Fi was fixed. Back in, I think the Wi-Fi was fixed in like October or something. I couldn't find the exact date. But we're in January and the PAs still aren't fixed. So they can't hear morning announcements. They can't say the pledge. The teachers have radios. So this has been the solution that has been presented. As a teacher, I taught with a radio. They're very distracting. If, God forbid, there was a shooter, the office should be able to make a call, push that button. May I finish, please?
Go ahead.
They should be able to make one call and alert everybody. There should not be an extra step where they need to find a radio. This is insane. This is January. The fact that this has not been resolved yet makes your priorities very evident and just how much I feel you do not care about our children's safety. But keep bullying our gay and trans kids. Good on you, whatever you need to do to make yourself sleep better at night. Thank you for your time.
Amy Miller.
Good evening. Tonight, I'd just like to bring up a few questions. I just want to ask you, why do you insist on engaging in culture wars at the expense of a vulnerable population of students? There's just no point. None. It's just cruel to bring this up as an agenda item on the agenda. Next. Why do you insist on not following your own policy for the DAC and the SAC and picking two people that, according to your policy, should be on the SAC and DAC? It would have been an easy fix. It would have been building bridges in this community. People would have appreciated that. Next, why did the audit take so long? It looks very suspicious to us from the outside. We keep waiting for accountability. Next, was there a flagpole installed instead of teachers' roofs or ceilings being fixed in their classrooms? I do worry about mold growing in these classrooms. It's been months. So I hope there's not mold in the classrooms. Maybe if you weren't so busy fighting culture wars, our kids could be taken better care of. They could have their classes fixed. Their teachers would feel safer. That whole PA situation is wrong. With a better learning environment, our kids are gonna do better. Teachers will be able to take better care of them. Everything could be better. You guys appreciate high scores on tests. Imagine if this administration would work with teachers and parents. It could be amazing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Nicole Brocky.
Thank you. Good evening. Appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Nicole Broccoli. I'm a parent of 4. Tonight, I'd like to speak on Resolution 7A. I was very surprised, but also happy to see this on the agenda tonight. We're in a very special time. I attended the El Paso County Commissioners meeting yesterday morning, where they passed a resolution where they had to make a public decision. Are we going to follow the direction of our new federal government, Or are we going to follow the one of our state government if they are in conflict with each other? And every single district, whether it's a city council, a county, or a school district, is standing before that same decision, I think, during this time. I see this resolution in that light, and I'm very happy to see that this school board is ready to follow the federal direction that our nation is going. It is what the majority of our country voted for. It is the majority what this community voted for. Now, in every community, there's people that believe differently, and I strongly believe in handling each other with respect and love. And I like the word affirmation. However, I believe in affirming children's true identity, in affirming that they are loved and respect whatever they might feel like in that very moment. And I strongly believe that this board and this administration is capable of implementing this resolution while at the same time paying attention and being concerned for those people who might be worried about what this might mean for their children and their families. But I want to express my thanks for this move and for the board being willing to take this on, even if it might cause an uproar, even if this might at some point violate what our state believes is the right direction to go. So thank you very much, and please be encouraged and know that even though not our whole community is standing before you here tonight to express their opinion, there is a large group that is standing behind you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy Wolin.
Evening. My name is Amy Wolin. I'm a longtime resident of Woodland Park. My child was in Woodland Park School District from 2008 and graduated in 2023. It's very hard for me to stand here and talk to you about something so personal. I think this extra meeting in which you're going to vote on a resolution declaring two genders is cowardly. Having this meeting on a night of your showcases to vote on a solution to a non-problem is cowardly. Making this into a resolution when you're not even following your own policy, which by the way sets a terrible example for your students and how you choose your SACs and your DAC, is cowardly. Making this resolution without science-based facts is cowardly. From my own personal experience in my own family, having a child who's questioning their identity, who is respected by the teachers and the staff who were here when they were here, saved his life. Today, despite some of you, this is a person who is generative in society. He's interning at a law firm, who is on the dean's list at college, and who has overcome more obstacles, some of them from you individually, and is thriving now in an environment where he is accepted as who he is, where women are accepted as who they are, and where humans are accepted as they are. Woodland Park School District used to be this way. Your minds are already made up. I request that you table this for further information and discussion. There are outside forces dictating what you bring to these agendas and to our school district and to our community. I believe that you're not really listening to parents or community members who have a different opinion than you. And that's only what this is. This is an opinion being made into a resolution and probably ultimately a policy. It's not based on any facts. It will hurt more students and families than it will help. This resolution is only based on fear and hate. And unfortunately, that's now what Woodland School Park School District is known for. And that makes me really sad. With that, fortunately, you are not the future. Our children are, and they give me hope. They're incredible, kind, thoughtful, high-achieving, critically thinking, generous, intelligent, humane human beings. Thank you.
Gail Garrett.
Gail Garrett, Woodland Park. After seeing the banners about academic achievement all over town, I thought it was important to make the comment that the credit does go to good teachers. This superintendent and board cannot take any credit. On another note, financially, there was a reported 120 students lost from the district since last year. At the cost of $11,000 and some dollars, the district has lost $1,350,000 in funding with the loss of those students. This board has suggested that Woodland Park is losing students just like other places in the country, and that it's just a trend. Well, that's not really true. You lost 7% of your student population about last year. The Colorado statistic is 0.1%. This district lost a lot of students because of this superintendent and board. With this continued narrow-minded ideology resulting in resolutions such as the one you present tonight, enrollment will continue to decline. But then again, maybe that's the plan for Ken Witt and Brad Miller. Thank you.
Eric Lockman.
Good evening, Eric Lockman, Woodland Park. I wanted to express my strong support for the resolution recognizing that there are only two sexes, male and female, and rejecting gender ideologies. This resolution is not about denying anyone's identity or experiences, but about upholding the biological reality that has existed for centuries. Gender ideologies, when introduced to young children, can lead to confusion, anxiety, and in some cases, irreversible decisions. Studies have shown that children are more vulnerable to these ideas and the pressure to conform to shifting gender norms can have long-lasting detrimental effects on their mental health and development. Many kids who experience confusion about their gender identity may be pushed into medical interventions or social transitions that they may later regret. It's important to note that these ideologies are embraced by a very small minority. In our conservative county, where common sense still has a stronghold, it's essential that we ensure our schools reflect the values and understanding that most of us hold, based on science, reason, and the well-being of our children. This resolution will help safeguard their emotional, physical health by rejecting such ideologies. As someone said earlier, this is a subject for families and not for public schools. Some fail to understand you can affirm someone without addressing their sexuality. Thank you for recognizing the need to focus on academics and not politicizing our children.
Thank you. That it? Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, the consent agenda. Looking for a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Barclay. Aye. Bates.
Aye.
Kimbrough.
Aye.
Patterson.
Aye.
Westerholz.
Aye. Motion approved. Okay, on to action items. Action item A, a resolution recognizing only two sexes and rejecting gender ideology. In light of Executive Order 14166, titled Defending Women from gender ideology, extremism, and restoring biological truth to the federal government, signed January 20th, 25. The attached resolution is presented. The resolution, recognizing only two sexes and rejecting gender ideology. Whereas Woodland Park School District RE2, the district in Teller County, Colorado, is a public corporation and political subdivision duly organized and existing under the Constitution and the laws of the state of Colorado. Whereas the members of the Board of Education of the district, the board, have been duly elected, chosen, and qualified. Whereas the Colorado State Constitution in Article 9, Section 15, which was established in 1876, states that local school boards elected by their electors should have control of instruction in the public schools of their respective district, a constitutional principle known as local control. Whereas the board is aware that there are only two biological sexes, male and female, determined by the presence or absence of a Y chromosome. Whereas the President of the United States, on January 20th, 2025, signed executive order defending women from gender ideology, extremism, and restoring biological truth to the federal government, declaring that it is the policy of the United States to recognize two sexes, male and female. Whereas the aforementioned executive order further states, federal funds shall not be used to promote gender ideology, which puts at risk federal funding to this school district should the policy or practice fail to recognize and honor biological sex. And whereas the board respects students and staff's right to personal physical privacy and personal security in restrooms and locker rooms, and their right to fair competition in sporting events. Now, therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of Woodland Park School District RE2, the Board of Education of Woodland Park School District RE2, in ensuring the full instructional environment respects the two sexes and rejects gender ideology, authorizes and directs the superintendent to update any relevant administrative policy, procedures, and facility agreements and usage guidelines to be consistent with the knowledge that there are only two sexes, male and female, and consistent with the right to personal physical privacy and personal security in restrooms and locker rooms, and consistent with the right to fair competition in sporting events within the constraints of law to ensure restrooms and locker rooms separate males and females, and number 3, to ensure that males are not competing as females in sporting events. This resolution is duly adopted by the Board of Education of Woodland Park RE2 on January 29, 2025, taking effect immediately. Do I have a motion?
So
I make a
moved.
motion to approve the resolution recognizing only two sexes and rejecting gender ideology.
And you give a second, Mr.?
I'll second it.
Discussion. David, thoughts on this?
Yes, I think that this resolution is consistent with several of our other resolutions that, especially the one that we did back in May for the academic instruction over social agendas in the Woodland Park Public School Districts. It is a sensitive subject. We do have people who disagree with this, and what is interesting though is that 5 to 10 years ago, people would have questioned us even doing a resolution like this. They would have said, why do we need something like this? I think that it's important though to address some of the concerns that because we take a stand on this issue, that there is only male and female, we also have to address that we, and by no means, would tolerate bullying, people being unkind to each other, disrespectful to each other. We disagree on many, many things. I mean, how many times have people in this room have I gone to have coffee with and we disagree with on things? We can still be polite and kind to each other if we have a disagreement. So I think that this may go a bit beyond that. I see some people looking, with some of the looks there. I don't really care what you believe, what your thoughts are. My thought is, I'm going to be.
No, you don't.
I'm going to be.
You've got to be quiet in the audience, please.
I probably should have said that a little bit differently because you didn't accept it the way what I intended to say was.
That was exactly what you. Sir, this is not a time for you to speak. I'm not going to allow that. Keep that in mind. We've been here before.
I do care what people think. So, with that being rejected and not taking it personally, I think that we need to stick with science. And the science has always been that there are two sexes. You've grown up on a farm or around other animals, there are two sexes, I assure you. And it's a Y chromosome that determines it. We need to teach our kids the truth. It doesn't mean that we're going to accept any kind of bullying that I said before. This is a culture war. And the war has been against the truth for many years. And I am proud to say that we need to stand for our kids. We need to tell them the truth. Now, what you teach your kids at home is that's personal and private stuff. But in the school district, we have to remove these kind of socially distracting things from our schools. We can't have boys competing against girls in girls' locker rooms and girls' restrooms. And yes, we don't have this problem here yet, but if it started on the coast, it's going to end up here. And we need to preemptively do it, and we need to do it in a very kind and polite kind of way. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Brother?
Yeah. So I have many, many issues with this resolution, and I'm sure that surprises no one. First, why now? Why now? There are so many other more important, more pressing issues hitting our school right now. Why are we spending the time on this right now? We have an AU that we need to figure out, right? We need to figure that out, make sure that our special needs students are serviced properly. We don't know what's happening with that, but we're not talking about that tonight. We're talking about this. I had requested that we add an item to the agenda so we could bring somebody in who would talk about new programs that they could help us provide for our students. But I was told we don't have time for that. There's no time for that on the agenda. We're talking about this instead.
And we are talking about this.
We are, yeah. Why? Why is this precedent? Why is this the most important thing on your mind?
It's
Our-
been
our
one of the
students-
most important on my
Why?
mind.
Why?
I wanted to do
Our
this 3
students
years ago.
are in outbuildings and they don't have safety. The heat is inadequate. They have to walk back and forth to the main building. We've had leaks in other buildings. The roofs are leaking. We've had water breaks. We've had boilers go out. Why is this what we are focusing on? You say you care about the kids.
It was
Fix
just
the
2
problems.
weeks ago when I was getting text messages because there was a Facebook comment about this issue, specifically about men in women's locker room, asking about it. So I came to the district asking, is this happening? It was
Is it
not
happening? It's
it
not
was in
happening.
our
So it's not
school,
actually
But it was
even an
happening
issue.
from another district. and they were saying
So
it
it's
was
not
on
even
the
an issue in this district.
Because we've made it
We
a
have
not
it.
issue.
And also, it's state law.
focus on
Colorado law requires that students have access to restrooms that match their gender ideology. So when we say in here, within the constraints of law, it means nothing. It means nothing. We can't stop that. It's state law. We would be opening ourselves up to lawsuit to push that.
I believe I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution of the state and of the country. And part of that constitutional duty is to set the guidelines for our school district. And so that is constitutional, which is above state law. So
It's not.
there are some
It's an
things,
executive order. It's not in the Constitution.
it's like it's like I had said back in September. We all, depending on no matter what side of the political aisle you find yourself, we all know that there are bad laws either way. And there are some laws that people are willing to take a stand against. This law of gender confusion for kids and promoting it at a state and a statute level, I am willing to take a stand against because it's right to do it.
I would say you have the right to do that personally, but if we are putting at our school in danger of further litigation because we are passing resolutions that go against state law, that's not a great place
But you
to
even
take a
said
stand.
this isn't even happening, so it's just reinforcing what is already taking place in our school.
So why do it?
Why not?
That's insane logic. I just wish we would spend more time on things that would actually help our students, the issues, keeping, like, I've been trying to talk about ways we can attract more students in. Nobody seems to want to do that. We don't seem to want to talk about.
We need to stay on topic because we did
This
discuss
is the
this.
topic. The topic is, why do we keep focusing on these nonsense issues instead of focusing on things that are actually going to help our students and our school?
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Anyone else have comments? Any other discussion?
I think you should call.
Roll call?
Barkley,
No.
Bates,
Aye.
Kimbrough,
Aye.
Patterson,
Aye.
Westerholt.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item, item B, revised budget and appropriation resolution. Mr. Bay?
Dates for the board members and members in the audience. So I don't have a mask or a mic. I'll talk about that. What I'm here tonight is to present the changes to our, here, learn how to cast today. Thanks, Stephen. Oh. Yeah. Okay. As required by state law, or one of the things that we do, typically when this is done in January, and we're met, there was a change that happened late in the School Finance Act that allowed us to get some additional funds. So as I noted in the board meeting earlier in January, which is the January meeting, there were a slight change that occurred that allowed us the opportunity to get more money and subsequently also change our budget. So we're here tonight to just basically mention the items that did change. And I'll highlight a couple things and then propose the resolution as it is revised. On January 13th, I believe it was, CDE sent us another update that we were to receive $11,256.13 per student. Before, in our regular budget, we had $11,243.12. So a little bit of change there. And what that did, you see, I highlighted the items in orange, and you can't really see them that well. See if I can increase it a little bit. Okay. So a couple of things that changed is, obviously, in October, we do an October 1 count. They gave us our count. What we ended up with was overall, now keep in mind this is an average, state law also allows us to average our count over a 5-year period. And so when we look at the total funded students, including the charter school, we had 1,691.5 students compared to the 1,964.2 students that we budgeted for at the beginning of the year. That being said, the overall change, you can see in our program funding, we reduced to $21,970,506. So what that took us to is in the appropriation is, you can see here, we had our adopted budget. Oops, let me see what's bigger here. Okay, our adopted budget, when we originally set it back in June of last year, we had $36,047,790. Our new revised appropriation is $35,219,980, which is overall reduction of $827,000 and 810 cents, and that is the resolution. So with that being said, I would leave it to the board for the resolution to be passed this evening.
Okay, I'm asking for a motion to approve the appropriation resolution fiscal year 2025. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Barclay.
Bates,
Aye.
Kimbrough,
Aye.
Patterson,
Aye.
Rusterholz.
Aye. Okay, now I would like to ask for a motion to approve the specific budget resolution number 1. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Barclay, but, I'm sorry, I actually have questions on this one.
Okay.
So, do you have that slide you can pull up maybe?
Here. Okay.
For the budget resolution.
Specific budget.
budget.
The specific budget we deleted simply because it's not going to be used this year.
He's not asking about any
I'm
funds.
not asking to pass
Okay,
that.
that's what I wanted to make
Yeah.
sure, because
What-
everything was blank and it's like,
Yeah.
approve this, and I was like,
Well,
there's no
what
numbers.
what it is, we used it as a package, just as a reminder. If we use beginning fund balance, then it's a document that we have to put in there. Since we actually, when we revised the budget, we were able to incorporate that. And in visiting with Aaron Salt on the operations, didn't feel that we were gonna need it this year. So that's really why we deleted that. So we don't feel that we're gonna have any expenses that are gonna incur against our beginning fund balance.
Okay, so this resolution is just to approve
That's correct.
not spending any of the fund
No.
balance.
That's right.
Exactly.
That is not our plan.
Where were we?
Barclay,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Kimbrough,
Aye.
Patterson, Rusterholz.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, item C, resolution authorizing districts' participation in the state treasurer's interest-free loan program.
Yeah, this is another item that we spoke a little bit about at our last board meeting. And what I've been able to do through an extensive cash flow analysis in conjunction with RBC, which is a group that actually works with CDE on providing the cash flow documents that I'll show you just a minute. As I mentioned before, pursuant to our state law, CRS 2915-112 and 2254-110, the state treasury they've been authorized to actually provide short-term debt for school districts interest-free. It has been a program that's been in existence for a while, and as I mentioned previously, not only in December but also in January, this is something I think that every school district should put in for. Anytime you get an opportunity to have interest-free cash, it's particularly in the months of November, December, and January, it's good for us, simply because it helps us with our cash flow. We're able to put our beginning reserves and stuff that we have, keep them in the bank, draw interest on those, and then be able to participate in the interest-free loan program. That being said, I'll show you a little bit about what we did on our cash flow. We were able to, and keep in mind, this is just for this year. Typically, it would have been a little bit more, but what I'm proposing, and I'll show a little bit of the cash flow here in a minute. Let me get down to where it is. Okay, here's the actual resolution. After all of the extensive review of our cash flow for this year, being fiscal year 25, we've determined that what we would like to resolve is to pass an $3,554,469, not to exceed that amount that we would propose to have our interest-free loan program set up for this year. And the reason being, let me get down here a little bit. Okay. Pretty extensive packet. This was actually designed and built by the state, so glad I didn't have to have Brad be involved in this one. Okay. Cash flow. Okay, on your document that you received in your packet is several documentations that actually shows the beginning cash flow. I don't see it in my packet. I have the original draft of it in my packet. But what we were able to do in looking through that, there were the months that we're short on. We actually began in November, December, January, and then February. And the reason being is we begin to collect our property taxes typically in late February, early March. But the cash flow documentation, which is designed by, and it's actually reviewed by the state as well, the projections there show us needing that $3.5 million. We actually needed it, probably could have utilized that with not using our reserves back in November. However, we haven't. And so that's really why we set it at the 3.5 million. What typically it ends up being is roughly about 3 months of cash flow. Our cash flow is typically about $1.8 million a month. But since we're only going to be using it for 6 months, that's really where that's going to be. Because this program also needs to be paid back once the property taxes get collected, the state gets their money back first. And so that's the reason for the documentation. And I apologize, I don't can show it up here because if I did, it would be too small anyway.
Well, it's paid back by June 25th.
Yes. And typically, I was looking today a little bit on the cash flow over the years, and typically our largest cash flow that we get in on property taxes is in the month of March.
Mm.
We typically get about 78–80% of our $12 million of property taxes collected in that month. So what the program does, and there's a little bit of changes from when I used the program in the past, the program, the way it is now, is you pay back the loan first. And then whatever is additional, if you have, if you have excess of it, then what you would end up doing is you get that as well. But the loan needs to be paid back first. So what I noticed in ours is we roughly get about $4.5, if not $5 million in the month of March. So this for us would be a short-term loan of basically about maybe 1.5 months. Any questions?
I have some. So I wanted to look into this a little bit and actually wound up able to speak with the state treasurer about it. And so in that discussion, right, although you can, like, we could resolve it today and ask to be accepted, and the state could accept us, but when you actually go to withdraw the funds, you need to be able at that time to show that you have a deficit, that you don't have the cash in order for them to actually pay it out. So we have months where we don't have money, and what were we doing in the past?
Well, what we do is, we'll draw against some of the reserves that we have set in our various accounts between Colorado Trust, our banks, and we're fortunate to be able to do that. Now, one of the things that I noticed with the program, and I had this discussion with RBC, is I had always thought the program allowed you to keep your state reserve, which is 3%, and your Tabor reserve in cash. What I was told by RBC is that we had to spend all of our cash in order to be part of that. And that's one of the things that I'm going to ask Mr. Miller to take a look at, because I don't believe that we, by state law, can spend those reserves. And so, that's why when I was talking to RBC, that's why we stated it, that what's in here right now in that cash flow agreement is our 3% TABOR reserve, which is $790,000, that we cannot go below that. That's what that cash flow analysis shows today.
So, but we are able to show that we have months where we don't have, that we're in a deficit.
Yes, because what it is the months that we do not receive any property taxes, because we only get a portion of it from the state equalization from the state.
When property taxes come in months after, that's where we're having this short cash flow.
And typically, and it's always been this way, the school districts, whether they're big, large, because there's some very large ones that participate. Adams 12 participates in it as well.
I did notice, in 2024, Adams 14, there was Boulder, Cherry Creek, Denver School District, Douglas County. So a large amount of schools that take this on, as well as some other smaller counties. But then also this is for operational expenses and not for capital projects.
Yes, no, we cannot use our capital. It's not capital dollars. This is just basic normal operations. Expenses.
Yeah, and it's very common with business loans, but this one is particular to have no interest.
Yes, that's I think the attractive feature, because like you mentioned in there, Cherry Creek, you mentioned Boulder.
Yeah.
Some of the school districts are a little bit more, and you notice it in the amount of equalization that they get from the state. But this is a program really when it's interest-free. I think from a financial perspective, it's a good thing to do.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have, obviously you mentioned that the state takes the excess tax back first.
Correct.
And they do have the right to kind of garnish that and take it.
Well, it's not garnished. What it is the way the funds come to us is there's like an intercept. So whether, if we happen to have something where you had capital or whatever, things that you had to do, it comes out of that first. And so it's the same thing. Like I said, if we were able to get $5 million in the month of February or the month of March, and we borrowed the $3.4 million, that would come out first. That way we get a net of a little over $1.5 million would be ours.
Right, so we can't spend there's no new spends, there's no new projects we can do with this. This is just.
No, you're not allowed to use it for capital projects.
I understand.
Yeah, we can't use capital. It's just normal operations from the standpoint of what we, in our normal operating budget that we have in Fund 10, in our general fund budget.
Have you spoken with the state about our eligibility yet?
Yes, we already applied for it back in April, May, I believe, of last year. Amy Ryan, who's my predecessor, actually had applied for it. And what we're doing now is the logistics of it, which is going through the cash flow, which is a very extensive cash flow. I've gone through it probably 4 times with RBC. The first time I did it, I had the 3% state and then 3%, so I thought it was 6% overall. After finding out that, their interpretation of it is just the 3%, we revised it, and we've gone through it a couple more times. I will actually go through it again with the folks at RBC tomorrow as well, if this resolution were to pass. I'll go through it with them again because we tweak it to the point where, it's almost like, you can get just right at your TABOR reserve, but you can't go any below that. And so it's a little bit of a balancing act to get there.
So once we kind of make this resolution and apply for it, how long before we would know?
What we would do is they allow us very shortly. That we know that. What we're doing, we've already been approved for it. It's just basically going in for the draws and stuff. So we're getting our cash flow approved, and with the resolution and the amount. From there, what we would do is we would determine what our needs are. There's 3 times you can draw. I believe it's on the 7th, the 17th, and the 27th of the month. There's a document that both myself and the superintendent would sign, that this is what we feel is the cash flow need for this month. We send it in, it gets reviewed within our cash flow model that we had, and then they would send us those funds.
We got a motion?
I do have a question. What are the drawbacks to doing this?
As I said,
what is the liability?
Really what it is, it's more of a time, and I've already taken the time to do the cash flow analysis. I think any time that you have an organization, you need to know what the cash flow is of the organization. I have actually gone back over the last 3 years to look at where trend is. What is the trend analysis over the last few years? And it's pretty much the same. But as I said before, really, it's just nothing more than the time and effort to create the cash flow, create the draw statements. But when you look at the benefits of it, the benefits far outweigh, a little bit of time on behalf of the CFO and the superintendent to go through to ensure that, the cash is available at all times to the district.
Is there any way that this could be abused?
No, not in my opinion.
And so from my understanding too, that this law was created to help districts deal with the fact that property taxes come in. So the state legislators actually did this to help all of the school districts.
Yes, he
around the
did.
state.
It's been interesting following us. I've actually, my original tenure goes clear back to 1990 in school finance. And obviously the School Finance Act changed quite a bit in 1994, which I had an opportunity to be part of. But in the beginning of this, a lot of times there would be districts that literally would go get a loan to be able to meet that cash flow that they needed, because payroll and operations still continue. And so, as a result of that, of all of the years of the input from other districts, the program came through, and the State Treasurer's Office actually created it and said, hey, here's a program that benefits our school districts.
Call for a motion?
The motion's already on the
So
table.
we already did motion and seconded. Oh,
Do we have a second?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Roll call.
Barkley,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Kimbrell,
Aye.
Patterson,
Aye.
Rusterholz.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, on to Board of Education reports. Sue, would you like to begin, please?
Yes, I've been working, as you all know, I'm the BOCES board president. Been working with Marcy closely, and the update that I can give you is just recently Woodland Park had a multi-district AU application that was approved by the CDE. Then the CDE, they concluded that a multi-district AU serving Cripple Creek, Victor, and Woodland Park required us to do another model. It's a law in 2011, I believe, changed the rule that two districts cannot be an AU. So with the CDE and Woodland Park and Cripple Creek and Victor, we're working to flesh out the arrangement that will satisfy the districts and serve the children. But this work isn't yet completed. The attorneys are meeting. Discussion is going on between the school districts, and that's what I have to report on that.
May I just add a note?
Yes.
It is a little bit of an involved process because with 3 school districts previously in the AU, if we now form a 2-district AU, it's a matter of coming up with the right instrument. The CDE is actually very happy. They've generously called us very good actors in trying to work with Cripple Creek to make certain that we have a solution that serves all of these students well. There is an exercise going on to figure out how that model looks because this doesn't happen very often, but we are working through it, and I'm confident that we'll get it finalized in the coming weeks very quickly.
Thank you.
Can I add to my report?
You may. Say something else.
Yes, my husband and I had the great privilege to attend the culinary dinner on Monday, and it was amazing, the students that are involved in this and that are raising funds to go, I believe, to the state. And they cooked us appetizers and a meal. They served us. They were professional. They were respectful. They were so grateful that the people showed up and gave donations so they can go on their trip. And I'm sure they're still accepting donations if anyone feels that they may support the culinary team. But I'm so proud of these kids. They're such professionals, and they're going to be ready to go out into the world. And I was surprised to know that 40% of the culinary students, she has full classes 5 days a week, over 100 students, at 40% are
are males. And we spoke with two of the males that are going to the competition, so we really had a good time, and I urge you to support the culinary project. And tonight, before I came to the board meeting, I stepped over to the high school for the showcase. And I watched the science teacher blow up a helium balloon. I had 911 dialed on my phone. And I spoke with the SWAP teachers and what a great thing that they're doing in integrating our community with the special ed and how they incorporate the gen ed into the SWAP program, and how the gen ed are actually modeling and helping with the SWAP classes, and it's so refreshing and exciting to know that, and they're doing a really good job. I also talked to the math teacher who was excited to bring a finance curriculum into the school, and she was excited about that. And I talked to the theater team. They're doing wonderful jobs. It was a pleasure to talk to the teachers. They're excited about finishing out this year and planning for a new year. So it's really exciting. I'm proud of our staff and our teachers and our students are doing very well.
Thank you. I've got some wonderful news. Most of you probably already know, but our cheer team just went down to Texas and we took second. However, only by 0.25%, because they nailed their final presentation. Now, I'm not a cheerleader, so pardon my language.
Come on.
But they nailed their final presentation. But so did another school, and evidently theirs was a little bit more intricate or something. But I guess there was some kind of a flip that they did down there that they just nailed. But anyway, that was a big deal for Woodland Park. And, you know, we all know our cheer team and many of our athletics have done a good job, but that was a major accomplishment on their part, and we ought to all be real proud of them. Others?
Yeah, I had a nice visit. I have really enjoyed being invited by teachers to come around to visit their classroom, spend time with them. And I've recently went with Sue Sinclair to her special needs kids. And what a great job they do in their classroom. And it impresses me over and over and over again, the passion and the love that these teachers have for their students. It is just overwhelming. And the kids, they were always the kids in the special needs class were just so happy to see, you know, somebody come and visit. And I enjoyed it so much. And by the way, they have a special presentation of their favorite kinds of candy that they made. Maybe you can tell it's in a showcase right outside the administration section of the building here. But yeah, I was impressed with what the kids did. So if you get a chance, go visit that display case. If somebody else can tell where it is, like I was led there. So, but we have such great teachers, and I'm so proud of our school and the things that we're doing that are, you know, increased grades and our academic performance. There's so many positive things to talk about, and so anyway,
Thank you.
that's all I have to say.
Anyone else?
Just wanted to thank all the parents who continue to come to these meetings and lending their voice to those who can't attend or don't feel comfortable getting up and speaking, and for continuing to put your children first. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Barkley,
Aye.
Bates,
Aye.
Patterson,
Aye.
Kimbrell. Aye. Ruster-Holtz.
All right. So move. Meeting adjourned.
You have to go get my kid.
Yeah.
Well, Justin's just not doing the report and
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're doing good.
Be safe.
Oh, I should speak. Everything has been nice.
Just now I heard you well.
Yeah.